What? That's a good question. Do you know the answer?
Capital city of the Netherlands. What better way to experience this compact and very international city than from the unique perspective of its waterways? There certainly are a lot of them. This city has over 100 kilometers of canals. Amsterdam is known for being friendly, open-minded, and progressive. It's a popular place to visit and do business. Just think, in a population of only 800,000 people, you can meet 170 different nationalities.
This area's rich history adds a sparkle that's never far below the surface. During the 17th century, Amsterdam shone especially bright, like gold. This golden age was an extraordinary time. Politics, art, and business all reached new levels of sophistication. Dutch shipbuilders revolutionized sailing. Amsterdam boasted a thriving stock exchange, and painters like Rembrandt and Vermeer produced remarkable art.
The church we see on the right-hand side is the St. Nicholas Church, recently declared Cathedral, by the way. It's going to be mentioned in just a few moments on the guiding system.
12th century. To our left, there was nothing but vast stretches of marshland, lakes, and sea. To our right, at the mouth of the Amstel River, was an early settlement of simple huts. Settlers built a dam across the river, hence the name Amstelredam, or the dam built across the Amstel.
Now, fast forward a few hundred years. Amsterdam has grown into a fortified medieval village, complete with dikes, ditches, and canals to control the sea level. The building with flags atop it is the former Scheepvaarthuis, or shipping house. A group of shipping companies ran their businesses from here. This early 20th century building is considered to be the first true example of the Amsterdam School style of architecture. The front of the building is impressively adorned with statues of Neptune, his wife, and 4 figures that represent the points of the compass. The building is decorated inside and out with all kinds of nautical symbols, anchors, ships, and famous Dutch mariners. It's now a 5-star luxury hotel.
Floating Chinese restaurant we see on the left-hand side. The Sea Palace is a replica of a restaurant in the harbor of Hong Kong, the Jumbo. The former Jumbo, I should say, because the Jumbo sank about a year ago when we're transporting it to a new location in a typhoon. Good timing. Now there's something strange going on here in the waters around the floating Chinese restaurant. It's quite empty. Something is missing. I never see any ducks here. I wonder what happened to all the ducks. Building it, pretty much halfway into the construction, they realized it was not going to be big enough. So ladies and gentlemen, next time you book your holiday, that is where your money goes.
We are now in the Oosterdock, or East Harbor. It was constructed at the beginning of the 19th century. The tall, green ship-like building is NEMO, the Children's Center for Science and Technology. With lots of interactive exhibits, it's a popular place for families. As much as it looks like a ship, that wasn't the original intention. The famous Italian architect, Renzo Piano, designed NEMO as an inverse reflection of the A tunnel, which runs beneath it. The building's height equals the depth of the tunnel. NEMO gets its green color from the oxidated copper that covers its walls. There's a unique sand-filled terrace on the roof where you'll find sunbathers.
White spire and clocks were added a century later. They were designed by Hendrik de Keyser, an architect whose work can be seen around Amsterdam, and who you're certain to hear more about on this cruise. The clocks couldn't keep time, and the tower's bells rang out randomly, so locals gave it the nickname Silly Jack.
Not long after the spire and clocks were added, the tower began to list to one side. With some effort, it was pulled to rights. You might be wondering why so many buildings in the city tip to one side or the other. The ground in Amsterdam, a mix of peat, sand, and soil, is very soft. Because of this, buildings were generally designed to be as light as possible. None were very tall, and they often had lots of windows. For stability, they were built on a bed of wooden tiles driven as deep as 15 meters, that's 45 feet, into the ground. But if these piles were exposed to the air, they began to rot, and the buildings they supported sank and shifted. Today, water levels in and around the city are carefully controlled to minimize runoff. When new piles are needed, they're made of concrete. Still, you'll see many a house with a sideways tilt.
The Montelbaanstoren was a place where sailors gathered before setting out to sea. The journeys were long and difficult, and not everyone returned. Legend has it that the women who loved them also came here to say goodbye, perhaps forever.
We are now on the Oudeschaans, or Outer Trench Canal. During the 16th century, it served as a defense canal. All the city's canals served one or more of these functions, as a transportation route, a line of defense, or a way to manage water levels. The Oudeschaans, because of its size and location, did all of these. Because it was one of the only canals wide enough for large ships to sail, and because of its proximity to the harbor, the Oudeschaans became a convenient place to unload cargo. We're about to pass through one of the city's old locks. The small, tippy black building was once the lockmaster's house. It's now a pub and cafe full of 17th century charm. Stone floors, wooden benches, and exposed ceiling beams. Its outdoor patio is a great place for watching boats on the canal.
Check it out. You see how tilted it is, that old lockkeeper's house? You drink one beer in that place, you have the feeling you're drunk already. Stick around too little too long, you start to see everything straight in there, you know it's time to go home.
Over time, the name morphed into Vlooienburg for Flea Island, and the bustling market held here was called the Flea Market.
For centuries, Jewish traders sold their wares here. The market continues to operate and is now known as the largest flea market in the Netherlands. Look at the group of very crooked houses. We affectionately refer to them as the dancing houses because they look like they're tilting and swaying to some happy tune. These buildings get their crazy tilts from the wooden piles that are supposed to be holding them up. The more the piles rock, the wilder the houses dance. The outward lean that you see on so many buildings is another story. It has nothing to do with rotting piles. The facades, or the faces of buildings, were intentionally built this way. In fact, a 16th century law put limits on how far a building could lean forward, lest it topple down.
On the left-hand side, the dancing houses. We also call them the gay houses because they are definitely not straight. For obvious reasons, a lot of people also call them the drunk houses, but ironically enough, Mulligan's Irish pub on the right-hand side, standing up straight, sober as hell.
So we're just taking them all. What is it?
No, we walked so far. We didn't walk so far.
This is me walking around.
There's swans. Ireland. Swans.
It looks kind of like about the bus I got, and I'm just like the people can smile a bit. That's me.
We're now on the Amstel River. The round white-faced building you see next to the City Hall is the Muziektheater, or Music Theater. It's home to the Dutch Opera, known for its daring production, the Holland Sinfonia, and the world-renowned Dutch National Ballet. The Dutch may be known for their tolerant attitude, but they also have strong opinions. This piece of architecture was met with heavy protests that have since simmered down. In fact, that's how it got its name, Stopera. It's derived from the movement against the construction, Stop the Opera.
We're currently cruising on the River Amstel, as you just heard. This is the only natural waterway in Amsterdam. All the other canals are man-made. We're about to go to the Blue Bridge here in front of us. After the Blue Bridge, I'm going to hang a right onto the Herengracht, or the Gentleman's Canal. Before we do so, you get a great look at the famous skinny bridge. That is the all-lit-up white wooden drawbridge crossing all the way over the Amstel, right ahead of us at the moment.
Amsterdam's 1,500 or so bridges, This is the most famous. It dates back to the 17th century and was likely a narrow footbridge. Since then, it's been reconstructed more than once and grown wider with age. Legend has it that whoever you kiss while passing under the bridge will be your true love for life.
Yeah, well, we're going the other way. Mind you, for life can be a long time, huh? Nevertheless, on the left-hand side, the famous Skinny Bridge. Skinny Bridge is the most iconic bridge in Amsterdam. You find it back in a lot of movies, amongst others one of the Oceans with George Clooney, and the James Bond movie Diamonds Are Forever.
We're now on Herengracht, or the Gentleman's Canal. It was part of a careful plan to expand the city. In the early 17th century, a time of tremendous physical and economic growth, 3 new canals were laid out in concentric rings. The Herengracht was innermost. The Keizersgracht, or Emperor's Canal, was in the middle, followed by the Prinsengracht, or the Prince's Canal.
The wealthiest citizens, shipbuilders, merchants, investors, and politicians built elegant mansions on the Herengracht. The Keizersgracht was solidly middle class, while the Prinsengracht had a more industrial atmosphere. Of the 3 canals, the Prinsengracht was the only one that connected directly to the harbor, and its low sides were designed for loading and unloading cargo.
And so, the farther you lived from the city center, the lower your social class. Today, this would no longer hold true. All of the city center is expensive. Of this unique site.
On the left-hand side, you're lucky, ladies and gentlemen. Normally it's full of boats, you don't get to see nothing of the 7 bridges, but you're lucky, it's empty. In case your photo don't work out anyway, because of the long distance. Don't be too disappointed about that. There's at least 100,000 of these photos to be found on the internet.
Today, almost all of these mansions are used for business, as people can no longer afford to live in them. An exception is the city's mayor, whose official residence is at number 502 Herengracht. Look for the great facade with white columns just before the bridge.
On the left-hand side with a lantern at the door, our 10 Downing Street, the mayor's house.
Arts and science, everything flourished. And the city was now the most important trade center in Europe. There are many reasons for Amsterdam's astounding success. It had the largest and most progressive shipbuilding industry in Europe. Dutch traders sailed farther than anyone else, to newly discovered lands in the Far East and to North and South America. They organized into companies like the Dutch East Indian Company and the Dutch West Indian Company.
Stepping down into forceful carriages, the clatter of wheels on cobblestones, and dare we mention it, an unpleasant waft of sewage coming from the canal.
Building restrictions limited houses to a width of no more than 6 meters, or 18 feet. But those who could afford got around this by buying 2 adjacent lots and building a double house. Some of these double homes even had 2 different facades. There was no restriction on depth, and with 20 to 40 rooms, a large private garden, and a coach house behind that, mansions often stretched all the way over to the next street.
We're now at the so-called Golden Bend of the Herengracht, the most lavish section of all. Imagine going into one of these sumptuous homes. On the first floor, an elegant entrance hall with marble floors, high ceilings, and chandeliers. Mirrors were strategically positioned to create an illusion of even more space. And single-lot houses would often have a fake door on the side of the entryway to make them appear bigger than they were.
Rooms were richly decorated with painted wallpaper, oil paintings, fine sculptures and exotics such as Turkish rugs and Persian silks. In the second half of the 17th century, Parisian furniture, Louis XVI style, was very much in vogue.
As a gentleman, you might join your host in a deep-colored smoking room. A lady, your hostess would receive you in a light blue salon or tea room. Here, you'd sip imported tea from China while looking out over a beautifully manicured garden. Musical concerts and grand parties were common, and each house had many rooms dedicated to entertaining. For a first-hand glimpse of life inside an opulent canal house, there are two wonderful museums in the area, the Hilving in Lopenhaus and the Willet Holthausen.
That was the Golden Band, ladies and gentlemen. Once the most prestigious residential area here in Amsterdam. Nowadays, nobody can afford to live here anymore. It's just offices. Bankers, lawyers, and other criminals. Obviously there to prevent cars from ending up in the waters. Most people think it's from the city of Amsterdam. That's not the case. It's been paid for and installed by the United Insurance Companies. In the 70s and 80s of the last century, there was an excess of about 3 cars a week going into the canals, 150 a year. What of what purpose? To collect the insurance money. And that's how the insurance companies decided to do something about it.
As we pass by these richly decorated canal houses, there's so much to notice. So many flourishes and details, ornate door cases, sculpture, and of course the decorative gables at the roofline.
There are several different types of gables, and over the decades, they've gone in and out of fashion. See if you can spot them all. The oldest type is the spout gable. This basic triangular shape is seen only on warehouses. The 17th century step gable looks just as usual, a series of steps. The next gable, with its straight up and down sides and scrollwork decorations, came a bit later, followed by the bell gable, which has a more rounded, bell-like shape. By the 18th century, the cornet, a flat top gable, was most popular.
There's one thing that all gables have in common, the height thing. Staircases were so narrow and steep that furniture and goods were lifted to the upper floors via the hoisting beam, along with a good strong rope, a hook, and a pulley. Goods were generally stored up high to keep them dry during the city's frequent floods. There's a strong tradition of moving things this way, as even newly constructed houses have narrow stairways and are still equipped with hoisting beams.
Until the 18th century, house numbers didn't exist in Amsterdam. Instead, people relied on gable stone. These carved and sometimes colorfully painted stones were set into a house's facade, often above the door. Which pictures made reference to the occupant's position, profession, or their family crest. For example, a butcher might have a picture of a lamb, a dentist might have a tooth, a miller, a windmill. Illiteracy was high, but such symbols were easy to understand.
As we ride along the canal, keep an eye out for gable stones. There are more than 650 throughout the city. As you find them, you can challenge yourself by guessing what they might be.
You may have noticed that most of the city's houses are made of brick. That's because bricks could be made locally. They were very porous compared to bricks of today. and had to be oiled, tarred, or painted to protect them against the weather. You'll only see stone on the facades of the wealthiest of homes, because it had to be imported, costing much more than brick.
For the shoppers among us, to the west or north of here is a unique shopping district called Herengracht, or 9 Little Streets. Each street is a block long and full of quirky boutiques and specialty shops. It's a relaxing and fun place to explore.
It's only a 5-minute walk in there. Can I read? Sorry? Sounds good. Yes, okay.
Coming up on our left, at numbers 170 and 172, is a beautiful 17th century red brick mansion with the facade has 2 inscribed panels that reflect Bartolotti's and many other 17th century businessmen's values. They read, through talent and diligence, and through piousness and virtue.
On the left-hand side, the Bartolotti House.
This was a time when Calvinistic views predominated. Calvinism is a form of Christianity that emphasizes strict living and industrialism. The rich found themselves in conflict. Their religion required them to be humble, yet with so much wealth, how could they not show it off? Often they...
Even the start of it.
Today, the city's many canals are still used for transportation and for managing water levels. And they also have a new function, as a place to live. Amsterdam always seems to be short on housing, and during a real crunch in the 1960s and 70s, houseboats appeared as cheap places to live. The city now has around 2,500 of them. Some are old converted sailing vessels. Others are simply homes set on floating pads. As for cheap, not anymore. Houseboats are now connected to gas, water, electricity, and municipal sewage. And owners have to pay taxes, just like anyone else.
Have you noticed how many homes have brick facades or faces? At first, Amsterdammers built their homes entirely out of wood, but after 2 massive fires at the end of the 16th century, the city took action. It passed a law requiring that all newly constructed buildings have facades made of non-flammable brick or stone. But all older buildings were still made of wood, and Amsterdam experienced one of its biggest fires along the Keizersgracht during the 18th century. Today, the risk of fire persists. Even though reinforced concrete is used for new construction, many of the older houses still have their original wooden skeletons. now approaching Brouwersgracht, or the Brewers Canal. This canal was part of the city's 17th century expansion. It connects the three main canals, the Herengracht, the Keizersgracht, and the Crescent, and used to form the northwest border of the city. With its arched bridges, many houseboats, and beautiful architecture, it's now one of the most picturesque waterways in the city.
But that wasn't always the case. Many of the industries banned from residential areas ended up here. That included the smelly ones, like leather and whale oil processing, and of course beer brewing, which gave the Brewers Canal its name. Because water quality was so poor, people turned to beer as a safer, healthier drink. Only the rich could afford wine, which was imported, but everyone drank beer.
Many of the buildings you see are old workshops and factories or warehouses. Merchants originally stored goods in their houses, but as trade increased, more and more warehouses were built. See if you can spot them. Look for triangular spout gables and windows with wooden shutters. The shutters help keep goods dry and dark.
And no talk about transportation in Amsterdam would be complete without mentioning bicycles. You've probably figured out that they're Amsterdammers' favorite mode of transport. All around Central Station are places to park, from a huge multi-level bike parking area to a converted ferry filled to capacity with bikes. More people bike than drive to work. And it's estimated that the city has around 1.6 billion bikes. That's more bikes than people. In typical Dutch style, the bikes are very practical. One-speed coasters with footbrakes. Sometimes they're straight in front for carrying everything under the sun, including children. In Amsterdam, expect to see everyone from the sophisticated business executive to the harried mother of three, humping away on a two-wheeler.
Central Station, the transportation hub of Amsterdam, is built on 3 artificial islands and is supported by around 8,600 wooden piles. The building was designed by 2 architects, Kuipers and Van Gennep, and its front is really quite amazing. Made of red brick and white accents, it's a combination of neo-Renaissance style and classic colors, and is called eclectical architecture.
Just as you're coming up on the left-hand side out of this bridge in front of us, and the multi-level bicycle parking they refer to is also this thing on the left-hand side. As you can see, there's not even one bicycle parked in it anymore. That's because we built a brand new facility fitting 7,000 bicycles underneath the waters we're currently cruising on. The entrance with your bike. That's the thing here on the right-hand side. Most people think it's the entrance to the subway, but it's not. It's the entrance to the bicycle parking garage.
Amsterdam were able to enjoy today.
Yeah, I have heard that bit. But I also heard
Oh, and that museum thing as well.
Alright everybody, we almost got to the end of the tour. Thank you for cruising with us. Hope you enjoyed the tour.